All right, so I want to make a video updating everyone, getting right into it. Again, Canada's over 100,000 confirmed cases, 8,346 dead. Alberta, 48 new cases yesterday. Again, the active cases are ticking up by about 10 a day. 525. Again, 39 in the hospital, 6 in the ICU, 152 dead. So the bad news is the numbers are going up a little bit. The good news is that the numbers aren't going up as a percentage of the tests done, because we're testing a ton of people, and probably within the next week or so we will literally have tested like 10% of the population, although I'm guessing some people have probably been tested more than once. So I don't know exactly how they factor that in if you've been tested more than once. But again, 381,000 tests. We have what, 4.5 million people. So again, within the next, probably couple weeks, we'll be literally have tested 10% of the population. So that's very good, and it's very good that we're continuing to increase our amount of tests being done every day. And I've still yet to see numbers that show that the likelihood of testing positive has gone up. All the numbers I've seen continue to be very steady, and we're not facing anything that's overwhelming us. Again, the hospitalization numbers, arguably, I would say, are more important than the actual active cases or the new cases every day, because those are the people we actually have to be worried about. And again, we're still in the 30s. Ontario and Quebec are both easing restrictions, and Ontario's got over 100 people in the ICU. They've probably got 500 people in the hospital, and yet they're easing restrictions. They're in phase two. They're probably a couple weeks behind us, but still, like we have 10 times less cases than them, almost. And yet, yeah, sorry, not 10 times as far as hospitalizations go. Um, and yet they're still easing restrictions. So the people that are all hot and bothered, all worried, there's really no evidence to back up what you're saying. Now, the big thing to point out is the Trump rally from yesterday. Look for the mainstream media to, getting into the states numbers here. They did have a pretty high day yesterday. They had 32,000. That is the highest day in like since about May, what would that be, 13th? So a little over a month ago. That was their highest day. But again, it is just one day. The trend still isn't clearly upticking. It is going up a little bit. But again, the protests have been going on for 3 weeks now. Personally, I don't believe that there's that much of a tie to it. I think it's partially to that they're increasing testing, and they're discovering a lot of asymptomatic cases as well. You look at Ontario. Their case numbers are going down, and yet they have bigger cities. They had their protests there where it happened sooner, and they happen on a larger scale. So I don't think that it's that tied to that. And like I say, the one thing to look out for is that the mainstream media is already doing it, but watch for the mainstream media to try and tie the Trump rally to anything they any negative case they possibly can do, and anything literally possible. Whether it's a slight uptick, they'll lie to you and tell you that that they're increasing tests. Is the other thing too to bring up is that the amount of daily new deaths is going down, which is just another I think form of proof that the amount of asymptomatic cases they're discovering has gone up by quite a bit. For the simple reason that, yeah, it's largely asymptomatic cases. Asymptomatic cases tend to be younger people, which means they're going to be a lot less likely to die. It's just, it doesn't make any sense that we should be worried about anything at this point. At no point, the first time around, were we even close to being overwhelmed. They brought a whole second hospital into New York, and they didn't even have to use it. They built a second hospital in Florida, I believe, or extra hospitals, and none of them even seen a patient. The ship one did, but they thought that this extra hospital that they had built would be at capacity, and it did never even seen a patient. And that was in New York, the hardest hit area in the world, I believe. So unless we're seeing number of new cases every day well into the hundreds, like at least 100, probably I'd say 150 to 200, we don't have to worry until we're seeing numbers like that. And again, and for the simple reason of reopening, no one says you have to go back. I mean, the whole CERB thing's gone through the summer. If you want to stay home and cower in fear, I think you're a bit of an a-hole by doing that and stealing money from the government and from taxpayers, basically. But if you want to do that, go right ahead, because we're at the point where it's so obvious that we should be open. And like I say, it's not even funny. I mean, I've been saying that for 2 months now almost, and all the evidence that has came out since then is definitively proven that. It's definitively proven that. Um, and like I say too, I mentioned if you didn't see the video yesterday, I mentioned the study that came out of Switzerland that found that people under the age of 50 are less likely to die of this than the flu. And obviously that was Switzerland. It's only one country, but it is still a decent piece of evidence that points out the thing I've been saying all along, that by the time this is all said and done, the death rate's probably going to be below the flu. Maybe even for everybody as a whole, but definitely for people that are younger. And there's already evidence that's pointing to that. So the big stuff over the last couple of days has been Joe Rogan. He did two things that people are up in arms about. One of the one that I'm more concerned about is the one that people are less worried about, at least from what I've seen. Number one, I think he kind of criticized masks and kind of poo-pooed them, which he's right about. And the second thing is um, one of his friends was joking about some kind of, I don't think personally, I don't think it's enough that Joe Rogan should be canceled. He shouldn't lose his contract with Spotify, any of that kind of stuff. But it is very, very telling that I don't think he shouldn't be as popular as what he is. I don't think he has any real morals or ethics. I mean, he supported a literal socialist, borderline communist, for the president. Like, I think the guy, as far as his personal views go, are absolutely abhorrent. I mean, his wife, I believe, is a rabid feminist. He was best friends, or his wife was, with that girl from the Young Turks, who's a complete and utter idiot in more ways than one. Um, so yeah, like, he shouldn't be canceled. I think unless you're doing stuff that's literally illegal, which I guess stuff like this, I don't know if it's borderline illegal, but it's incredibly immoral and unethical. Like, where are the feminists? Like, where are the feminists? I mean, I'm not going to say what he did because I don't want to get in trouble with, because I know YouTube looks for any possible reason to censor your content. So, I mean, you can literally go and read and listen to the video. I mean, I literally have it pulled up here if you really want, but it's very, very demeaning. And like, personally, I think that these people, the guy that did this probably should be sued, because if you destroy people's lives because of stuff like that, yeah, you deserve some punishment. And again, I don't want to get into a big diatribe about why and where, but like, stuff like that's very messed up. I'm not usually the one to side with, in fact, I'm almost never the one to side with traditional feminist crap, but stuff like this is not okay. Like, it's not okay. And this is just another reason why feminists have no credibility. That I don't think I've seen a feminist that's all up in arms about this, even though it's objectively a lot worse than most of the stuff they complain about. So anyway, I don't think he should be canceled. But should he lose viewers? Absolutely. Should he lose some support? Absolutely. And I mean, is he funny? Yeah. Does he very knowledgeable about some things? Yeah. But the guy shouldn't be as popular as he is. I don't believe, especially when you have literally no morals and ethics whatsoever. I can't possibly even consider supporting someone that doesn't have any, at least any shred of morals and ethics. So anyway, kind of my thoughts on that stuff. This is from Ezra Levant. He says there are 3.7 million Albertans aged 60 and under. A grand total of 5 of them have died from the virus. Again, so we're talking about almost, we're talking about one in like a 700,000% chance of dying. Like, there's just again, it seems like millionth piece of evidence. Like, literally all the evidence that comes out definitively proves that we grossly reacted to the virus and all the situations behind it. Like, I mean, grossly on orders of magnitude scale. Like, for people under the age of 50, you're less likely to die from the flu. Like, seriously, now, is the virus a little more contagious than the flu? Yeah, but you're still less likely. No one even considers. No one even, it was never even brought up once in history, at least from what I've seen, people talking about placing severe restrictions on social gatherings or work or anything when it comes to the flu. And until that happens, I mean, they might do it for all we know. Um, I don't care about this anymore. Like I really don't. We're at the point where it's so blatantly obvious. Like I honestly don't know how governments get up there and give their daily press conferences and still pretend like this is an issue. Like seriously, it's like something out of the movies to where it's like this dystopian 1984 kind of world that they get up there and pretend that this is still an issue. Like seriously, like what are we doing? Like what are we doing? So yeah, that's the problem is that, and this is the thing too. It's just an example, and I know I brought this up, but I wanted to bring it up again. An example of how the government can convince the average everyday citizen pretty much anything. Like seriously, pretty much anything. Like the amount of people that I've came across, it's not actually that as high of a percentage as I originally thought. Partially because more and more people are waking up to how much of a fraud it is, especially given after these protests. But the amount of people I know that are actually like seriously worried about this, like I seriously I don't have words for you. Like I don't not have words for you. Like you will believe whatever the government tells you, and you've heard the comparison before. But these are the people that would get on a train to Auschwitz if the government told them it was for their safety. Like seriously, this is how dumb some people are. Now, is it because they're inherently dumb? Some of them, yeah, but a lot of them, it's just because they've spent their half their life or most of their life up until this point in public school systems and colleges and universities and watching CBC. Like, of course you're gonna end up come out of that like a vegetable. Like, I don't blame you, but it just really bothers me. This is from Scott Adams, another very good tweet here, and he says, "How many people did not resist arrest were killed by police in 2019 or any year for that matter? Seems like that data would be helpful context, not the whole story, but of course. But ask yourself why you have never seen that." Now, I think he puts it in a very good way. Ask yourself why you have never seen that, and it's for the simple reason that if those numbers were published, people would realize people. I mean, the numbers would be incredibly low, like incredibly low. Even a lot of these, like George Floyd, for example, was his death justified? No, but did he resist arrest? Yes. I mean, you look at a lot of the other ones that weren't justified, like the guy in St. Louis or Ferguson, punched the cop, tried to take his gun, all that kind of stuff. Um, Pretty much all of these people that are killed, regardless of whether or not they're justified or unjustified, George Floyd being one, I don't believe was just. I mean, look at the guy in Atlanta too. He's a perfect example of a guy resisted arrest, stole the cop's taser, tried to use it on him. Like, if that's not justification, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Um, but anyway, like George Floyd, not justified, but he resisted arrest. The guy in Atlanta, uh, justified and he resisted arrest. Like it seems like there's a commonality here, and I don't understand why these people like. And again, every lawyer will tell you too. I mean, I'm no lawyer, but every lawyer I've ever told who speaks on the topic says if the cops try and arrest you, regardless of whether or not you believe it's justified or unjustified, don't resist arrest. Go to the station, let them do their thing, and after things are all said and done, get your lawyer involved, and if it was unjustified, you will be able to sue them and you will be able to win. If you resist arrest, your chances of being able to sue them and to win go down drastically. So again, like these people are so incredibly stupid, it's not even funny. Like it's not even funny how stupid these people are. So anyway, that's an important thing to look up too. Like, why don't we see these numbers? And I think that it's very clear that people would soon realize that hey, all these people that are getting killed by the cops are violently resisting arrest, or at least most of them, even whether they're innocent or not. And if you just simply convince people to not resist arrest when they get arrested, most of the problem would magically go away, like magically go away. And this is the problem too, that because people are taught that the cops are the enemy of the world, even though most of them are good people. Yeah, it's very funny that you have all these people that are all up in arms when you point out, or whenever you collectively judge individuals. Sorry, you judge an individual based on a collective, and they're like, oh, hot and bothered whenever you do it to women or to blacks or any race other than whites, basically. They're all hot and bothered. But when you do it to cops, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. Like these people are so they have they literally it's like they care more about having different sets of rules for different people than they do about actually having consistent and normal morals and ethics. So anyway, it's a good point to bring up. This is from Dean Browning. And again, something I brought up, but another thing to talk about. A white student is 4 times less likely to be admitted to a top university than a black student with the same grades and test scores. If that isn't systematic racism, then what is? Now, again, I believe Asians, it's actually more of a gap than 4 times, which is why I believe they had a lawsuit. I don't know if it's still going on with Harvard, and I don't know about some other universities, but yeah, if this is the problem, that there is no racist laws on the books nowadays or racist policies that negatively affect blacks. All of the ones that are objectively racist positively help blacks. So again, these people that are complaining, like I see a very popular athlete who I've talked about recently, who's posting stuff about, oh, one of the things that we want with this whole change is to create programs that help black students out more to get into universities and stuff. Like, my God, buddy, like how stupid can you possibly be? Either he is so ignorant that he doesn't even realize that those policies already exist, or he does realize those policies already exist. He knows that they already disproportionately help blacks, but yet that's not enough for him. In which case he's absolutely insane and he's an outright racist, because a law that's already objectively racist that helps blacks isn't racist enough in his opinion. So absolutely an absolute insanity that's going on out there nowadays. But anyway, that's just how people are nowadays. And the last thing here is from Free People on Twitter. Now he started, I believe he got popular after the whole gun ban came out, and he started the whole post your badge in, to basically point out that you're against the Trudeau gun ban. But anyway, he says the first thing I learned as a cop is that people have no idea what is happening in their society. The second thing I learned is that the government will do everything to ensure it stays that way. And this is something I've been pointing out for in the entirety of me making YouTube videos and BitChute videos, is this is what the government, this is one of the main reasons why public schools exist. Public schools exist, at least, I mean, in some ways they teach. When you're younger, they actually teach you some valuable stuff. I mean, that stuff's pretty easy to pick up already. But one of the main reasons that they exist is to pretend like they're giving you a useful education, when in reality they're giving you a useful brainwashing. They don't most of the stuff, especially when it comes to politics and the economy and the real world. What you're taught in public schools is entirely manipulated, biased stuff that's taught. Like, the average person coming out of public school knows so little about this kind of stuff, it's not even funny. Like, it's not even funny. And I don't think it's possible to suggest that the government doesn't want it that way, because the average person is so dumbed down and ignorant, it's not even funny. And that I don't believe that it's possible for the government that not to prefer it to be that way. Like, I don't think they can possibly design a worse system unless it was designed to literally be like that, I guess, is the best way of putting it. And it really, gives me peace of mind to know that there's other people, especially other people that work for the government basically as a cop, um, that recognize and point this kind of stuff out. And it really, gives me peace of mind to know that there's other people that are pointing out stuff that I've been saying for a while now. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you liked the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Check out my PayPal and email, got linked in the description. Again, appreciate any donations, but at the very least, just hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. And last couple things, check me out on Twitter, check me out on BitChute. It's very important that you support and follow people online that are speaking the truth. So make sure you check out all those links are in the description.